To my fellow compatriots, the border issue is a complex matter that has existed hundreds of years. It is our shared responsibility to resolve it together so that the people of both countries can live peacefully along the border in the future. In the past, I have informed my fellow compatriots about the world government's continuous efforts to find a proper and lasting solution, one that can resolve issues such as those that have arisen in the villages of Chokchai and Praichan, allowing our citizens to resume their normal lives and livelihoods peacefully and to avoid prolonging this problem into the future. Such a solution cannot be achieved through the use of force or the use of violence. On the contrary, only peaceful means based on treaties, conventions, and existing agreements between Cambodia and Thailand can ensure the desired outcome as mentioned above. In this spirit and in line with the mutual understanding between Cambodia-Thailand Joint Commission on Demarcation for Land Boundary (JBC), both sides have agreed to send joint survey teams to carry out the survey and emplacement of temporary markers between boundary pillars number 42 to number 47 in Manteminche Province and number 52 to number 59 in Tambong Province. I have noticed discussions and comments on social media as well as concerns and questions from citizens regarding the survey and emplacement of temporary markers between boundary pillars number 42 to number 47 and number 52 to number 59. I would like to take this opportunity to clarify several key points. First, some have said that this survey and emplacement of temporary markers between boundary pillars number 42 to number 47 and 52 to 59 is being done hastily and in short period. Is this true? I would like to clarify that this survey and emplacement of temporary markers between above boundary pillars is not an entirely new work. It is a continuation of technical work that both countries joined technical border tenses that have been carrying out for nearly 20 years. The Secretariat of the Border Affairs has recently explained that the joint survey teams for survey and emplacement of temporary markers between Cambodia and Thailand began on the ground of 2006 with the purpose of identifying the exact locations of 74 concrete boundary pillars that were originally in place by the Commission of the Abandonment of the Boundary between Indochina and Siam between 1919 and 1920. Previously, the joint survey teams only worked to identify the exact locations of these old boundary pillars, particularly in the segments between boundary pillars number 42 and 47 and number 52 to 59, and had not yet conducted demarcation work on the ground. Therefore, the current survey and emplacement of temporary markers between boundary pillars number 42 to 47 and number 52 to 59 is step-by-step technical measures toward the eventual completion of actual demarcation on the ground, in accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding 2000 MOU 2000 in 2003 Terms of Reference TOR, the spirit of past agreed minutes of the JBC meetings, and the agreed technical instructions between both sides. Second, on what basis is this survey and emplacement of temporary markers conducted? To ensure transparency and accuracy in protecting Cambodia's sovereignty and territorial integrity under international law. The work to identify the exact locations of these boundary pillars, which includes those between boundary pillars number 42 to 47 and number 52 to 59, is carried out carefully and responsibly, based on historical documents left by the French colonial administration, especially by the Procès Verbaux, official records of the Commission of Delimitation and Boundary between Indochina and Siam of 1908 and 1909, and the Commission of Abandonment on the Boundary between Indochina and Siam of 1919 and 1920. The royal government of Cambodia and the JBC have always maintained the highest level of professionalism and responsibility, prioritizing core national interests, particularly in the protection of territorial integrity and national sovereignty. The royal government of Cambodia and the JBC have always maintained the highest level of professionalism and responsibility, prioritizing core national interests, particularly the protection of territorial integrity and national sovereignty, while strictly adhering to international law. The principle of border stability and the international boundary line between Cambodia and Thailand established by the Commission of Delimitation of the Boundary between Indochina and Siam Third, will the survey and emplacement of temporary markers cause Cambodia to lose or gain land? I have seen many discussions on social media about possible land loss or gain as a result of the survey and emplacement by temporary markers. I must emphasize that the goal of the survey and emplacement of temporary markers is not to calculate land loss or gain. Its main purpose is to determine a clear and accurate boundary line between Cambodia and Thailand based on legitimate historical documents from the French Protectorate period and international law. Cambodia firmly adheres to the principle of non-violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of neighboring countries. But likewise, Cambodia will not allow any violation of its own sovereignty and territorial integrity. This survey and emplacement of temporary markers is a peaceful, long-term approach aimed at resolving disputes, ending conflicts, and allowing citizens who live along the borderline to live peacefully and resume normal livelihoods, while ensuring the absolute protection of Cambodia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. After the survey is completed, the joint teams of both countries will review the actual land occupation by residents on both sides, comparing it with the temporary markers in order to justify, discuss, and find mutually acceptable solutions based on respect for each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Once again, I call on my fellow compatriots to trust the rural governments of Cambodia and the JBC, which have always upheld the highest professionalism and responsibility, prioritizing core national interests, especially the defense of territorial integrity and national sovereignty, while strictly respecting international law, the principle of border stability, and the international boundary line between Cambodia and Thailand established by the Commission of the Limitation of the Boundary between the Indochina and Siem. Thank you very much.